Hello, Chiquis!
And welcome to Chatty Amigas, a podcast where two friends approach everyday problems and find practical solutions.
We are your hosts. I'm Mafe.
And I'm Mela. Some changes happen faster than expected, while some also have the tendency of happening when we aren't prepared for them.
Yes, seriously. When it rains, it pours. So today, speaking of pouring, it's been raining for 2 days here, and I am loving it. Anyway,
Speaking of raining, it's been not raining here for 2 days, and everyone's loving it.
So because we had the wildfires over here, and it's been so dry and so hot, and it's been so bad. So now that it's been raining, it's been the best thing ever. Anyways,
lovely.
So today we will be spilling the tea on life changes.
All right. So the one constant in life is change. Happens all the time.
Yes.
We cannot control it. It is what it is. That doesn't mean we ever get used to it or sometimes fully embrace it when it's completely unexpected, especially when we want it.
Right.
But so now we're going to discuss 10 tips for coping with big changes in your life and coming out a better person for it. Because we all would love to leave it gracefully, huh?
So exactly.
These are our tips for that.
I agree, because sometimes we don't like changes. A lot of us have difficulty with that. Mm-hmm. But a lot of changes are actually really good. So
yeah,
we need to use them to our advantage and come out being better people out of it.
Agreed. So, number 1, acknowledge that things are changing. Sometimes we're so caught up in fighting change that we put off actually dealing with it, which is extremely unhealthy.
Yeah.
Denial is a powerful force and it protects us in many ways. However, stepping outside of it and saying to yourself, things are changing and it's okay, can be less stressful than putting it off. And also counting your blessings, like realizing the good that's coming out of it. It's good. It's a nice thing.
Actually, that's very true. I need to apply this with my recent life changes. These are good things. These are really good things that are happening. I just need to cope with the changes. I'm happy with the changes. I just need to accept them and know that they are actually really good. So the next one is to realize that even good change can cause stress. Because, even sometimes when people go through positive life changes, such as like graduation or having a baby, buying a house, things like that, right? They still feel a great deal of stress, like wedding planning, that stuff, right? So keep in mind that positive change can create stress, just like not so positive changes. And, stress is just your body's way of reacting to change. It's okay to feel stressed, even when something good has happened. In fact, it's normal. Like if you've just had a baby, talk to your doctor about whether you may or may not have like depression or anything like that. But just
postpartum.
Yeah, so realizing it.
Yeah, because I don't know, it's weird because it's like good stuff. Like when I bought my house and was doing construction, it was good stuff, but it was so stressed out.
Exactly.
Like, oh my God, I was really not prepared for it. Like I wasn't even planning on buying a house, like at all. We just had paid off all our debt. You're like, this is great. And a month later, we bought a house.
Yep, I feel that.
So we weren't prepared at all, like mentally, for all the paperwork that needed to be done, the physical work that needed to be done. It was just a lot. And we did it all in 8 months. I don't know how, but we did it.
Very fast, yeah.
And I'm so grateful. And now it's starting to sink in that I have a house a year later, literally. June 24th was when I signed the papers.
Oh my gosh, I cannot believe it's been a year already.
Exactly. I'm starting to accept that I still get emotional about it. Like, oh my God, it's so beautiful. It's quiet. I have no landlord.
Oh, that's the best feeling ever, though. Yeah.
I never got buyer's remorse for my house at all, which is good because usually people do. But I think it's because, I don't know, I just tried taking it a day at a time. It was very stressful. And I'm like, it's a good stuff. Like, why am I so stressed? It's just normal. When you're not ready, it just happens.
Yeah. When it rains, it pours.
Yes. So, what do you think?
Well, speaking of changes, one big change in life, positive changes besides like buying a house, it's getting engaged and getting married. That's a positive change, but it can be very stressful. I think maybe we should do tea time. What do you think?
I think so. I think you gave away the question, but that's okay.
Not quite. Let's do tea time.
Tea time.
So tea time is when we answer one question that has been submitted to us by one of our listeners.
And today's question was sent to us by Anonymous. Thank you, Anonymous.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. And their question was, engaged.
She's happy.
I'm so happy. Where do I start and how to plan? Tips, please.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been engaged and I was like, venue. But we I did some research and we found this blog from a photographer, Erin Morrison from Knoxville, Tennessee. Absolutely love the blog. I think it's just to the point, perfect. Perfect. Very relatable. So we're gonna go through what she had to say. I'm assuming Erin's a lady. If not, I'm sorry. And we also, so the other thing is you also want to have a timeline of when to get things done, the wedding planning timeline. So apparently I did some research. I didn't think about it until this. So it's like, wow, like how life has changed in this regard. Post-COVID, wedding planning, the whole game is completely different. Like you really need to do stuff in advance. So we did some sleuthing and found a wedding planning timeline expert to-do list for you post
sleuthing. I love that word. Sleuthing.
So we're not gonna go over the timeline because it starts I think at 10 months prior or 12 months prior. So depending on how long your engagement is stuff to consider. If you want a shorter engagement, you're probably going to have to open up your hand or let go of a lot of things that you probably want, which is not bad, honestly. I'm not a big fan of long engagements. It just opens more stress and anxiety. I was engaged for a year. Like I could have made it shorter. I would have preferred less. But it just is what it is. Each person has what they want. So we're gonna link it down below. So take a gander at it on your own time. Hopefully that'll help you. But in the meantime, we're now gonna go through the just got engaged, the 10 things you need to do first from Erin Morrison. Okay, number 1, enjoy the moment. If you ever needed a reason to get a manicure, this is the time. If you have ever needed a reason to take a selfie, this is the time.
Yeah.
The stage of your life that you're in right now is so fleeting. It's literally so fast that it depends on sort of importance. It's a beautiful thing. It'll be the first time, your last time. Definitely highly recommend just enjoy the moment of being engaged. And enjoy that time you get to call your significant other fiance while you're also having nothing to do with wedding planning. Take a week or two, let the news really sink in, flaunt that ring, and just be engaged. It's beautiful, that moment. Just enjoy it for the first week.
Yeah.
Highly recommend.
There you go. Well, I'm gonna help Mela through this. I have never been engaged, but I actually it's a very good article, and I would very much like to include this at a point in time in my life if it gets to that point. Number 2.
It will. Go.
Number 2, talk to your fiance. When you're ready to start the wedding planning, the first thing you need to do is talk to your fiance. Because, that's the person that you're going to be married for the rest of your life, ideally, right? So the best thing to do is to communicate with each other before discussing details with anyone else. Because remember, there is a wedding and there is a marriage.
So I highly recommend that. Don't go around telling all these people because you're going to have it all figured out. And you're going to talk to people and people are going to have their opinions. You're going to start that. It's going to be a whole thing. Unless you're super stuck on it. Talk to 1 or 2 people you trust. But besides that, just don't. For the love of God, don't do it. It's okay to be it's a surprise. Yeah. Trust me.
You go. So yeah, wedding and marriage, they're 2 different things. So take your time to chat now because you're going to save a lot of frustration down the road because you and your fiance need to be on the same page, focusing on what actually matters to both of you. And ask questions, open the conversation, right? When should we have the wedding? What are you thinking? Where will it be? Where do you envision the wedding? Do you want to keep it small? Do you want a big celebration? Do you want to even elope, right? things like that. So you want to take time, sit down, and answer the big question: what do we as a couple want?
Yeah, do that before talking to everyone. Highly recommend. If you can actually avoid having people in as much as you can with your wedding plan, I say do it. It will save you, because it's being engaged. I'm gonna be crazy right now. Ready? I hated being engaged. It's the worst thing in the world. No one ever talks about this. I personally don't know why. Hated being engaged. It's very stressful. It's beautiful, has its beauty, but then everyone starts having feelings. All right. And it's not you as the bride, like you're going crazy. No. People all of a sudden have feelings. Their input they feel is very valid. And it can be valid and valuable.
Yeah.
Within reason. But then like the one like friend's aunt that's been a family friend for 50 years that you don't talk to, all of a sudden now she has opinions. And you don't know why she has opinions. And she's going to want you to like pick the color she wants or pick the dish she wants. And you're not going to want to do it because A, you don't like it. B, it's probably expensive. And then she's going to get offended.
Right.
And then your aunt's going to get mad. And then it's going to cause stress with your mom. Your mom's going to get mad. And then your cousin's going to get... Like, it becomes this thing. It's the weirdest thing when you're engaged. So when that bride that you hear about that starts crying because the flowers were not the light shade of pink she wanted, she's not crying because the flowers are a pink. She's crying because after all the anxiety, the one vendor she's paying didn't even get that right. And that stress just like succumbs. So if you can create a bubble with your fiance and do as much of the planning without anyone including as humanly possible, I highly recommend that. It'll save you so much anxiety. I know this sounds like horrible. I'm just being honest. Yeah. I hated being engaged.
No, I mean, and the listeners are here for your honest opinion.
Yeah.
You can't be lying, you know.
No, like I knew this one couple that they got engaged. They had their wedding a week later. And I thought, my God, that was so smart.
Oh my gosh, that's great.
Yeah, they planned their entire wedding, I think, like when they were dating. But it's his second marriage, so the guy knows.
Like, yeah, that makes sense.
And they had a beautiful wedding on the beach. Like, I just thought it was the smartest thing. If you can do that, highly recommend.
That's good to keep in mind. Yeah.
So the third one, create a budget. This is very important. So no one likes to talk about money. It can be awkward. However, before you can really move forward with any of your wedding plans, this is a very important discussion to be had, whether it's between you and your spouse or you and your spouse and the parents, because sometimes it just depends on who's paying for it, right? This is where the reality of the situation lies. The answer to the budget question may determine so many factors you will have to consider for your wedding day, like the venue, the guest list, length of the engagement, bridal party size, wedding dress, etc. Another thing about this, like, if you're going to have parents pay for your wedding and they're paying for something and you don't want it and they do, the rule is they get the last say because they're paying for it. So just kind of keep that in mind. To keep things simple doesn't have to be ugly or ghetto. Simple can be beautiful. All right. I highly recommend a simple wedding. Like if you know, like that is serious stuff. Yeah. Eric and I paid for our whole wedding ourselves. We did get help from our moms, which honestly was a surprise. But like honestly, about 90% of the wedding I paid for and Eric ourselves. And I honestly can't imagine being in debt over it because we already had debt from like college and stuff. College. Yeah. So if you can keep it simple, I highly recommend. If you don't want to and someone's offering to pay for a bulk of things, just know that most likely their last word goes because they're the ones paying for it and you want to keep peace.
Exactly. Yeah. Very good. So number 4, narrow your date or season. If your budget allows for the flexibility of your wedding date, consider the seasons. And of course, we're talking about spring, summer, fall, and winter because the seasons dictate a lot of your decisions. Like if your dream venue is outdoors during a rainy month, then make sure there is a rain plan. The season will determine which flowers you can and cannot use and will help narrow down a color palette. And yes, the seasons may determine the pricing of the venues, coordinators, photographers, and such. So yeah, you want to make sure which months are the like hot or like what is it called? Like the most popular months to get married or the ones that are not so much. And, because that
I say wedding season starts from May to August. So that tends to be the most expensive month, or May to October, really, if we're going to be honest. So if you're planning on getting married around that time frame, the budget should be a little higher because it's going to be more expensive, because that's just wedding. Anything like the moment you say it's wedding, it's going to be like marked up like 70% more expensive. It's just, unfortunately, that's just how it is. And that's why they mention about flowers, like determine which flowers you can and cannot have. You can always get whatever flowers you want, but if it's not in season, they're going to be like 4 times more expensive. Mm-hmm. So it's just something to take into consideration. Oh, and things like holidays. So like I got married May 4th. It's around Mother's Day in the US. So my bouquet ended up becoming 30% more expensive because of Mother's Day. Mm. So it's little things like that you need to take into consideration.
There you go.
Oh, no, sorry, it's still me. So I have like so much to add.
Yeah, you summarized everything, so go ahead.
Sorry. Number 5, choose a wedding venue. So this is like it's like such a big important thing, because you need to decide, is it indoor, outdoor, both? How many people can it hold? Where is it located? Can like Meemaw physically go up the aisle, or grandma, right? These are our things to consider. Now that you have your budget figured out, you can start looking for a place that has all your needs and hopefully all your wants. So here, this photographer recommends starting a venue spreadsheet to help keep in mind all the different options that venues can have. I honestly did this. I made a list, and I sat down and like went which everything just to make sure it like checked off. So here they're saying something to consider when looking for a wedding venue is location, capacity, availability, the type, the layout, rates, restrictions, parking, transportation, facility extras, catering, bartending, and rentals. Another thing that I also really took into consideration was how beautiful was the inside, because the key is the more beautiful the place is, the less you need to pay for decorations and the less you need to pay for flowers. So I'm just going to throw that out there. All this feels like super exhausting to your brain, but it's needed. Right. And you also need to know, does it fit your vibe? Do you have a good gut feeling about it? So the best way to do that is by physically visiting these places. So you can see the possibilities for the decor. Is the venue naturally beautiful, or would require less decor? Does it need some pizzazz and additional costly inspiration? So it's things that definitely need to be considered.
Yes. Number 6, gather wedding inspiration. And this is, most of us girls use Pinterest for a lot of stuff like cooking or hairstyles, drawing, anything like that. So envision the type of wedding that you both want. And that is where you again need to sit down with your fiance and sit down, talk again, and even ask each other some questions. Kind of like what colors do you gravitate towards? What time of the year do you love the most? Are you obsessed with certain flower? Once you get like a rough draft or like kind of an idea of what you both want, then you can get on Pinterest and start having specific boards for all your inspiration, like wedding dresses, bouquets, aisle inspirations, tablescapes, and all that stuff. So you can go crazy and put a lot of stuff, or go very simple, but you can have an inspiration and have ideas in there.
Yes. For my wedding, I didn't have an inspiration or an idea of what it was going to be like until I picked the venue, because I feel like ultimately that was going to dictate the colors. The venue was like a coral pink, so I ended up having my bridesmaids wear different shades of pink. I didn't have one set color. It was just a variety of shades of pink. Pinks, ivories, bronzes, golds. It worked out because it just like gave that much flexibility for cost effectiveness, because you're not just sticking to one color. Mm-hmm. So that's what I did. Other people like to have a theme. It just goes for what you want. Not one answer is right when it comes to this. You just need to pick what you like.
Yeah.
Number 7, choose your bridal party. So it can have a big impact. Try not to reach out to your bridal party immediately following your engagement. Take time to consider who will be there with you, because honestly, weddings are stressful And adding certain people into a stressful situation is like adding gasoline to a fire. We don't need to start that. So before, anything recommend here, the photographer and I agree 1,000,000% that you think twice about who you invite, set honest expectations with them, and if you can, include your family members. In regards to your maid of honor, matron of honor, and best man, make sure that you choose someone who's responsible. I cannot emphasize that on so much. You don't want anyone losing things that are important, like, wedding rings. So just also know that more isn't always the best option. If you want 12 bridesmaids and 12 groomsmen, then there needs to be a place or an opportunity for all of you to have your photo taken, like everyone in one spot. Is there space in the venue for this? Will this add time to your photography timeline? Because of photographers, it's time is of the essence with them. And will it cost you more money in the long run? Because you're gonna have to then buy like 13 bouquets and 13 boutonnieres because you and your groom, right? Can you afford the stress of dealing with 24 people and all of their questions, comments, and personalities? So it's definitely something to think about. Highly recommend. Think about it.
Yes. Number 8, draft your guest list. And also your budget is going to dictate a lot of this. And like Mela said earlier, if your parents or somebody are financially helping with the wedding or they're paying, it would be nice and kind of like a good courtesy to ask them who they would like to include at your wedding. Better yet, if you're paying for yourselves, it's a good idea to get the families together and talk about the guest list so there are no surprises. And usually, the couple split the guests with each getting half. And now when it comes to crunch the numbers, it's not glamorous, obviously, you have to pay for stuff. You can't avoid that. But each guest adds to the number of plates your caterer will prepare, favors, chair rentals, how much cake you're gonna need. So this photographer recommends choosing a number that's smaller than your venue's capacity. Later, if there's room in the budget, you can add on at a later time. Just don't do it the day of the wedding. And a general rule to remember is that about 20% of the guest list will decline to attend. And that's because like different circumstances, like pregnancies, illness, travel, work, all that stuff. And out of those who RSVP yes, about 5% will end up not showing up. It's just life. Just
I agree.
happens.
That does happen. That happened in my wedding. A table's worth of people didn't show up.
Yeah.
It was really annoying because I paid for all that. But it was fine. Like I was able to add people to it. I 1,000,000% recommend everything she just said. Everything. Yeah. And then hire your professional wedding photographer, she mentions. I agree with this. I think you should definitely hire a professional wedding photographer. They know what they're doing. They're like done this 1,000,000 times. They're going to know your good angles. They're going to know. You just honestly just do it. It's so, I think just looking back at the memories and having that is just so important. It's beautiful to share. You're not going to remember certain details they're going to capture. 1,000,000%. Get a photographer. Also, look at vendors. Cake is important, but some people, what they do is they'll have the cake will be fake, except for the top layer, and that helps with cost effectiveness. And then they'll have a sheet cake in the back. That's something to consider. I've had a full cake because to me it just worked better in my circumstance. Flowers. You want to look for what's in season. Ask them what they recommend for the time that's cost effective. Unless you want to go to, the supermarket, get bouquets, make them yourselves. That's also an option. But photography, I don't feel like there's any way you can substitute that, at all. Highly recommend to look at
that's something I would drop big money on. A good photographer for good pictures. Yeah.
And what happens is when you do that, they usually do engagement photo included or at a discounted rate, because what ends up happening is they're learning you as a couple. They're learning how you interact, how you photograph. So then by the time it's like a practice for the wedding. So it's definitely something important to do. I highly recommend that.
Nice.
And sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
It says here, another reason to hire a photographer on your wedding day is your timeline. So whether you're having an intimate backyard wedding or a massive wedding, you need a timeline, and it sets the stage for hair and makeup, getting ready, ceremony, family photos, reception. Your wedding photographer wants to help with this and provide advance on times to ensure that you get the best photos possible. So another reason why having a photographer is important. Go ahead.
Nice. And last but not least, if all fails, hire a coordinator. And seriously, like if the idea of planning a wedding makes you super stressed out and have a lot of anxiety, then hire a wedding coordinator. Working with a wedding planner can keep things streamlined, stress-free, and even cost-effective. You know, she mentioned that she has worked with countless professional coordinators, and it's the best thing that could ever happen. So if you want to have a wedding that it's stress-free and you don't want to even deal with anything, then hire a wedding coordinator that will help out things be easier.
Like, honestly, if you can afford it, I recommend it. I had a wedding planner. I didn't actually have a wedding coordinator, and it's not because I'm bougie like that. It just worked out that the venue I picked included in the price, which honestly, I got married in Mexico. Apparently that's very common in Mexico. So I was really grateful because honestly, I had my wedding, all that stuff, I had no stress. So if you can budget, or if your venue does have a wedding planner or coordinator, my sister's wedding had a wedding coordinator. So I did notice that the wedding planner will do a little bit more than the wedding coordinator with certain things. But if the place comes with it, definitely take advantage because it really does help you out in the long run.
Nice. Very good. So we hope that this was helpful, and we're going to link everything down below. So please make sure you reread it, Anonymous, and we wish you the best on your engaged.
Nuptials.
Yeah.
Coming nuptials.
Exactly. There you go. So that wraps up the tea time portion for today. If you would like to have one of your questions featured on one of our upcoming episodes, please go on our website and fill out the portion under Tea Time, DM us, or send us a message under the Tea Time portion on Spotify if you're listening on Spotify.
Woohoo. Oh God, don't start that again.
No.
I'm gonna sleep with that in my mind.
No, I just hear it in my mind every time we do Tea Time. I hear the bling on my mind after we end it, or
don't hear it when we do the recording. Mafe adds it afterwards, so that's why we're having this like
I
back and forth about that. So.
Anyways, proceed.
All right, keep up. So we're going back now just because we kind of went woo about life changes, right? So number 3, keep up your regular schedule as much as possible. Highly recommend. It helps your body not go into a state of shock. Yes. Honestly, having some things that stay the same, like walking the dog every morning, it gives us an anchor. So for me, what it was eating Thai food. When I got married, I needed to have Thai food, and it needed to be pad Thai, and I had to have it once a week, and that helped me. I don't know why, I just went with that. Nice. And it helped me like not lose it. I don't know why. Of all things, that was it.
That's interesting.
And then with the house, I had to have Greek food every week. We had Greek food. I don't know what it is with me with food, but like I guess when I go to a very stressful time, once a week I have to have a specific food. And it's the same thing. Like I have to have the same thing every week. It's the only thing that keeps me from losing my mind.
Because you need something you can control and something that's constant. It's something that's constant in your life, and that is food. So that's something that is constant and it keeps you calm.
Do you have anything that like you do?
No. I nap.
Okay.
Like, nope. No, I nap. Yeah, if I'm too stressed out or things are going rough or something, I like to take naps because I'm so drained. Then I just nap and I feel better.
That's good. I also think that's your consistency.
Yeah.
So you need that anchor, whatever it is. It's the reminder that some things are still the same, and it gives your brain a little bit of a rest. Sometimes when you're going through a lot of change, it helps to write down your routine and check it off as you go. It's one less thing for your brain to have to hold inside. I do this. Highly recommend. 10 out of 10.
Yes. Exactly. The next one, speaking of food, you need to try to eat as healthy as possible.
Because I don't know how healthy my stuff was, but
that stuff is healthy. Because when change happens, a lot of us tend to reach for carbs, like bread, muffins, cake, all that stuff. And that's because eating carbs boosts serotonin, which is a chemical that is depleted when you undergo change or like stress. So, and serotonin, of course, makes us happy. And so it's okay to soothe yourself with comfort foods in moderation. So one way to track what you're eating is to write it down. You can do that, like write it in a notebook or use an app. And when you see what you are eating, it makes you take a step back and think about it, whether you want to eat that second muffin or not. So it's up to you. So just keep up or keep an eye out for the things you're eating. If you're constantly reaching out for carbs or like takeout or fast food, you want to stay healthy so you don't throw your body into shock or something.
Agreed. And with that, you want to exercise.
Yes.
Number 5, keep regular exercise part of the keep up your regular schedule tip. If exercise is not currently part of your routine, just please try adding it. Exercising 2 to 3 times a week has been found to significantly decrease symptoms of depression. Even just walking around the block can help you feel better. You also should check with your doctor beforehand just to make sure you can do certain things. Just don't feel like you have to feel like getting some exercise. Just get out there and move. Okay? You'll find that many times your motivation will kick in while you're active.
Yes, exactly. That is right. So next one, number 6 is seek support, because no one gets through life alone, and it is okay to ask for help. That is a sign that you know yourself well enough to realize you need some assistance. And it's not a sign of being weak. I think somebody that can realize that they need help, somebody that realizes that they need help is actually a lot stronger mentally than the ones that ignore it. So
no one is going to look at you like you're a loser, by the way.
That's right.
They're going to be happy
that you're getting help. That's right. So think of your trusted friends or family members. Chances are that they're going to be very happy to help you if you need them to like watch your kids while you do some errands, or if you need some alone time, or if you need to talk, if you need to vent, if you need to go to the store but you don't want to go alone, stuff like that. You know, there might be a neighbor who has asked you for help in the past. Maybe you can ask them for help. There's apps like Nextdoor that have been helpful for connecting with neighbors. And if you are thinking about
wait, we need to say one thing, trigger alert. Okay, trigger alert. Go ahead.
Okay, trigger alert. And then remember, we're not doctors or professionals, right? But if you're thinking about hurting yourself or you're having some, dark thoughts, please contact the suicide prevention line online or at 1-800-273-8255. Remember to get some help. And if you don't want your families, and you want to remain anonymous, you can always call that line and they'll give you the help you need.
Yes. With that, number 7, write down the positives that have come from this change. Maybe, because of the change, you've met new people. Maybe you started practicing healthier habits. Maybe you became more active in your environment, your community. Maybe you're more assertive now. Maybe the change helped you prioritize what is most important in your life. Change presents us with opportunity to grow, and it's important to acknowledge how things have become better as a result.
Mm-hmm. Very true. Number 8, get proactive. Being proactive means taking charge and working preventatively. This means you figure out what steps you need to take before something happens. Being reactive means you wait until something has happened and then you take action. But being proactive means you make an appointment with your doctor for a physical because something stressful is coming up and you want to make sure you are in good health. It just means becoming active with groups that help you realize that you can make a positive impact on the world. And if you know there's a stressful situation happening, you can always, or coming up, and if you want to stay like eating healthy, you can do meal planning and then grocery shop for those items. So you have things to cook instead of being stressed out and buying, takeout or carbs or, fast food. So that's another part about being proactive.
Definitely. Number 9, vent, but to a point.
Facts.
Yes. So having a support group to whom you can vent can be helpful up to a point. If you and your support group are solely venting, the feeling of frustration can be contagious. Try gearing the conversation towards action. What can you do to make things better? When people brainstorm together, their creativity and hopefulness can be contagious as well. Because if it's constantly negative, it is exhausting. It gets overwhelming. I'm going to speak from experience. When I have a friend that just vents about the same problem over and over and over again, and they never try to fix it, and it's been 5 years later, it's like, what do you want me to do? Like, I can't help you. Like, and I get frustrated. It's exhausting. I don't want to deal with you anymore. It sucks up all my energy, which is not good. Like, I want to be there for my friends. So definitely it's good to vent and talk about a problem, but try to be proactive and find a solution and go towards that solution if possible. Yeah. If it's an issue like chronic illness where there really isn't a solution, definitely vent about it. But let's vent and try to create a positive environment afterwards. Like, oh, it sucks because of A, B, and C, but you know what? The good of it is 1, 2, and 3. Yep. And then take it from there.
Yeah, that's a really nice way to look at it, and something to take into consideration and for all of us to start doing. Mm-hmm. The last one is to back away from social media. When you go through change, you may gravitate towards social media, maybe posting to your friends on Facebook what is going on in your life, or like mindless scrolling for hours, right? So first, make sure you are in a calm state when you post, and keep in mind that whatever you post really never disappears. Also, if you are comparing your life to your friends' lives on social media, remember that most people only post the quote-unquote highlight reel of their lives, not the stressful moments. This can give you a skewed view that everyone else's lives are going just fine. Everyone has battles they're fighting. It's just different battles with different people. So step away from social media if you're starting to compare your life to others. Remember, nobody's perfect and we all have problems. Some people just cover them. Some people vent about them a lot. Some people only post the good things, but social media is not real life. So just
how many times do we talk about that on our podcast?
We've talked about that a lot. Yes.
Yeah. It's just, yeah. Mm-hmm. And you also want to give yourself a break, right? And that's important. In a time of change, you may feel a little out of control. You may feel like you're not living up to your expectations of yourself. Remember that you are allowed to do less than what is humanly possible. Nothing says you have to function at 100% all the time. People make mistakes. It's one of the great things about being human. It's learning from the mistakes that really counts. Think about it like this. There are no mistakes, only good stories for later. Make a point to incorporate more laughter and fun into your life. Laughing increases dopamine, serotonin, and endorphins, and that makes you feel good. Laughing also decreases cortisol, a stress-producing hormone. So, laugh.
That's it. That is it for our podcast today. Thank you so much for listening. We sincerely hope you liked it.
We would love to know what you thought about our episode, so feel free to please leave a comment. Feel free to let us know what topics you would like for us to discuss in the future.
Please subscribe, give us a like, a follow, and or a star rating. If you want to hear more episodes like this one, please follow us on every social media platforms at Chatty Amigas.
Thank you so much for listening, Chiquis. We'll be back every Tuesday with the tea.
Bye. Bye.